Excited about the next 30 minutes since this is a topic that is really near and dear to my heart. And so, over the next 30 minutes or so, I'll walk you through the easiest way to build and scale generative AI or Gen AI applications with foundation models using a service called Amazon Bedrock within AWS. So my name is Binu Pezor. I'm a senior solutions architect at Amazon Web Services. Been with AWS for about 5 years now. November marks my fifth year, in fact. Been based out of Houston, Texas. And over the last 5 years, I had been supporting education technology customers of different sizes based on their cloud adoption, modernization use cases. So with that said, let's jump right in. So as far as the agenda for the next 30 minutes, I'll walk you through, give you a basic understanding about a context on the Gen AI. Then I will walk you through some of the model choices that we have within Amazon Bedrock. And then once you have picked your right model, how can you take care of some of your customization needs? And then once you've customized your models, how do you integrate that within your workflows that you can get a end-to-end use case built? Not not the least, but security and governance is a pretty critical thing that comes up in every Gen AI discussion that I have with my customers. So we'll address those two. And then I will also walk you through some consumption models that you can leverage, if you want to go try it out for your own use cases. And at closing, I will give you some resources that will really help you to get a little bit more hands-on, try it at your own leisure and gain a little bit more better understanding on how can you adopt Gen AI into your daily use cases or your business scenarios. So I don't have access, or when I'm presenting, the monitoring the chat won't be easy since I'm not that great with multitasking. So Ron, if you see any comments that are addressed to me, please feel free to interrupt me, and I'll take the time to go through those or address those.
Sure, I will do that. We really encourage everyone to ask questions, even in this virtual environment. We want to keep it as interactive as possible. Just include your name, where you work, and if I can even unmute you, that would be great. And I'll monitor that. And we find, you can use the Q&A, but I think most people are pretty simple. Just use the chat, either one. And we'd love to hear your thoughts and trying to get your questions answered on the spot.
Cool, thanks. Yeah, when I get excited about something, I tend to speak a little too fast. So if you feel like I am going way too fast, or if you're not really following me, yeah, like Sean said, please feel free to stop me or interrupt me, and I'd be more than happy to slow down and make sure I address your questions. So when it comes to building generative applications, customers have really told us that there are a few things that really stand in their way when it comes to using the foundation models on a broader scale. So when I say that, the first thing that I'm thinking most of you would know by now is there isn't really a single model that is optimized for every task that you might need, right? And the models and then based on the innovation that we see in the AI market, the models are really going to be constantly improved with newer advances in technology for the next foreseeable future. So for any particular use case, you often need to put together, I would say, multiple models that work with each other, or maybe you might have to upgrade the model to get them to the newer version to make sure you take advantage of some of the new features. So this really can take time and resources, right? So for example, if you have a text generation requirement and then you have an image generation, you're basically stitching two of those models together, and having to do that really takes time. The second thing that customers wanted is take the like a base foundation model and build differentiated application using their own data, right? So since most the customers really want to use customization that is incredibly valuable IP, and they need it to stay completely protected, secure, and private during that process. And they want to control how their data is shared and used. So, whatever proprietary data that I'm using to train my model, that could be my IP, and I don't want it to be shared outside of my company, right? So you need to make sure that my data is protected and it's not really used for sharing the base model. So your IP is now in the public. Um, Foundation models on their own are limited because they cannot complete complex tasks that require them to interact with, like external systems that do not and might not have the up-to-date knowledge about the sources. So, for example, like your inventory data or your e-commerce, if you're an e-commerce company, or if you're an education company, your student scores or assignment status, right? So, you can choose a base model, but it might not have all the information that it will need to make the right decision. So to make this kind of capabilities possible, typically AI or machine learning developers must have to go through a multi-step process really to accomplish even a simple task. Say for example, if you have a simple task like booking a flight, right? So at any point of time, you need to get the information about the flight details, and then you go look up what flights are available. So there is a multi-step process that will be required for your developers to be able to even build a simple system. And this includes providing specific definitions and instructions to the foundation model. And then you have to configure access to the company data sources. And then you have to write APIs or an API code to really execute those against those data sources to build those functions. And then lastly, when it comes to integration, customers really want to integrate into applications to be like seamless without having to manage like a huge cluster of infrastructure or having to incur high costs, right? So these are all some challenges that we've heard when working with customers who are starting to use foundation models. So that takes us to Amazon Bedrock. So, the Amazon Bedrock is a fully managed service that we built for building and scaling generative AI applications with a broad choice of foundation models, which I'm really excited to share that, so it is, as we get review and get those foundation models approved, though the scale at which those new foundation models get added to Bedrock is surprising or exciting. So I'll walk you through some of those pretty soon. So our core value proposition when it comes to Amazon Bedrock is the model choices that are available to you. So you can pick from a variety of models that fits the best for your specific use case and need. And then the data privacy and how we treat your data. And then the third is the customization of those models. At any point of time, if you're looking at a use case, you will want the ability to choose the right foundation model for your needs and customize that model in a secure manner without exposing the underlying data to the foundation model and without that data leaving the development environment. So that's pretty much a requirement that I've seen when I was working with education or any customers, when it comes to how to deal with Gen AI in a secure manner. Bedrock is the easiest way, I have to tell, based on the feedback that I received from my customers, to really build and scale Gen AI application using with foundation models. And it's, like I said, it's a fully managed service, which means you don't need to worry about infrastructure provisioning. So you can just get started with just few clicks. Like I said, it provides you with a variety of models, so you can choose the right model to get the right job done for you. And it will even give you the option to customize your model with your own data in a private or in a secure environment, which means nothing of those data is fed back into the base model that will now available for other customers. So let's take a look at the customer journey when it comes to using Gen AI. So essentially, you will have a business use case, and then You will choose a foundation model, and you could use it as is, or you can customize that model for your specific requirement. And then you will basically send your prompts or instructions to that model and receive a response. So Amazon Bedrock provide you a platform, with those capabilities to really accelerate and make that effort of building that in a very fast pace. Um, so what are the benefits of using Amazon Bedrock? I know so again, this is a service that I really want to, get you familiarized with today. So that way you can really understand the benefits that it can get to you for your specific use cases. So it offers a wide range of foundation models through a scalable, reliable, and secure API. You can customize your foundation models privately with your own data, with using certain techniques that I will cover in a little more depth, like fine tuning and retrieval augmented generation, or RAG, and you can easily integrate and deploy them into your application and create managed agents um, that can really execute complex business tasks, all without really having to write any code. So before, one of the biggest challenges, oh my God, I don't have any machine learning or data scientists in our company, so I don't know if I can really build this. But Bedrock enable you to do all this complex task without really having to write a single line of code. When I said agents, Bedrock agents for Bedrock is another service or a feature that makes it easy for developers and to create Gen AI based applications that can really complete complex tasks. For example, you might have a chatbot, let's say, that may want to interact with your students and help them with registering to your course. So, the agents can enable you to perform those all without by it can dip into a knowledge base to get information about the different courses. It can invoke an API that is most appropriate to the request that the customer or the student is asking for, to make that and make, like, register them for that course, let's say, or unregister them from a course. It's certain so it can determine which API should it invoke for the specific action that the user is asking. And again, it doesn't require you to provide detailed prompting to do all of those, but it can provide those multi-step process using the knowledge base and the APIs or databases that are linked to those agents. So that's something that I will also cover a little more deeper as we go through the remaining slides. Assuming no questions in the chat, I'll keep moving. So when it comes to Amazon Bedrock, it simplifies with a core set of values. So we provide you with the model choice. We let you customize those models. We provide you with the integration option, and we also address your security and governance concerns. So let's take a look at each one of those in a little bit more closer detail. So like I said, no one model can pretty much do all the tasks. So we are still in the early days of Gen AI, and these models that we have are continuing to evolve at a very unprecedented pace. So that's why, customers like you need the flexibility to use different models at different times and for your different use cases. So with that, we have, as you can see here, one of the most important feature of Bedrock is how easy it makes it to experiment with, like select and combine a wide range of foundation models. So with the investments that we've made to Amazon Bedrock, our customers can now or do have the flexibility to select the right model that for the specific requirement, even as the needs grow or change. And you can quickly take advantage of different models to build different kind of customer experiences for your end users. So typically, as you can see, it'll enable you to experiment, deploy, iterate, and pivot quickly, so that you get the latest and greatest foundation model, and it's ready to immediately embrace without having to worry about what comes tomorrow. So, this list that I have here is growing every day. So maybe a couple months down the line, you'll see a lot more models, or open source or companies we'll be supporting through Amazon Bedrock, which means all these models are available to you through Amazon Bedrock, and you can pick the one that aligns the best and provides you the most accurate responses for your specific use case. So the next feature that Amazon gives you is the model evaluation. So it provides you with both human and automated model evaluation capability, so you can compare multiple models, and see which model works the best for you. So it provides you some metrics like accuracy, toxicity, and robustness, and then you can say, okay, in this case, this based on the different models that I chose, this is where they stand. So based on those metrics, it will enable you to make or pick the right model that fits your specific need. And also it simplifies the customization. And let's take a look at how Bedrock can enable you to customize your models. When it comes to customization, there are multiple ways that you can customize your model. One is prompt engineering. The second is retrieval augmented generation. Third is fine tuning, and all the way up to continued pre-training. So this are all the different ways that you can customize your foundation models that you can access through Amazon Bedrock. Let's take a closer look at each one of this. So when it comes to prompt engineering, I'm sure pretty much everyone here understand or have a basic understanding about prompt engineering. But this is the prompts are really it's a set of inputs, I would say, that is provided by you as an engineer or as a user, that guide the large language models on Amazon Bedrock to generate an appropriate response or output for your given task or instruction. So it really infers the practice of crafting and optimizing the input prompts by selecting the most appropriate words or phrases or sentences, punctuation, or separator characters to effectively use LLM for a whole variety of your application needs, right? So it's really I would say prompt engineering is an art of communicating with a LLM. So as you know, high quality prompts leads to better or more accurate responses. So let's take a look at an example. So here you can see we're using Titan Extra Large model, and it has like four components: instructions, context, user input, and output indicator. So the instructions is what you are telling, to the model that act as an IT expert providing. So basically, you're giving the instruction as to what do you want to do, or what is it I'm expecting you to do from this question. Now you have the context as in, hey, by the way, assume yourself as a support engineer who has extensive experience in providing or helping students with their specific registration needs or whatever, right? So that's where you're setting the model with the context. And then you're providing the input like, hey, how do I, or what course is the right choice for me to take next? And then you could also define how do you want the output to be prompted, right? So you can say assistant would be, hey, the output should look like this. So essentially, this is like the key structure when it comes to prompt, as in, and this is pretty similar for most of the prompt that you be or models that you be using. I mean, there might be slight variation, but majority of the models kind of stick with this structure. So, as I was mentioning, prompt engineering, the philosophy under prompt engineering is, you have to always test your prompt and iterate through them often. So develop the test cases, and then you cannot forget your edge cases, and then test the prompt against your test cases, and then refine the prompt to make sure that it is generating the accurate response that you're looking for. And once you've iterated through that multiple times until you've gotten to a satisfactory output, then you can publish that prompt so that other users can use it, right? So like I said, this is a time-consuming process, and you don't want to reinvent the wheel each time. So how do you manage this prompt to be able to use by multiple users? For that, we have the Amazon Bedrock prompt management. So prompt management enable you to define prompt, to go through the life cycle of, iterating through it and, clean tuning it and to a point where you can get it to um, meet your specific need. And once it's done, then you can now publish that to your prompt library, which now your other users within your company will have access to, so they can just invoke or access those prompts for their specific needs rather than having to go through those same exercise each time. And I'm going a little too fast since I know we had a little slightly late start, and I don't want to delay it too fast, or too much. But if you have any questions, please, feel free to stop me. And I mentioned earlier, when sometimes some use cases will involve multiple steps, right? Let's say you might want to generate a comic or a storybook with some pictures, right? So you might want to pull information from your knowledge source. Maybe it's a biology comic book that you're looking at creating. So you might want to pull information from your knowledge base, and you might want to then create a passage or like chapters, and then you may want to look at those content and then generate some images, right? So there are multiple steps that were required for you to perhaps get your end use case. And the prompt workflows within Amazon Bedrock will enable you to do it by being able to stitch together multiple prompts or steps in there. So you can see, you can have an input prompt which can invoke a model to get some output inferences. You can use the output response from that model to invoke a second step, which could be perhaps invoke a Lambda function that could perhaps reach out to your database to get some additional information, use that information to invoke your second model, right? So you can really get creative to perform a very complex use case in a very dynamic fashion without having to go through again too much application development, right? You get this easy to use visual interface where you can build it, stitch it all together, and get your desired outcome. So I touched on knowledge bases, and I don't know how many of you are aware of knowledge base, but let's take a closer look at what a knowledge base is. So, when we use a foundation model, and if you want to use it to use some of your proprietary information, you need a way to provide that information to the model, and customers turn to retrieval augmented generation, which is a technique that involves fetching data from a company data source, and entering the prompt with that data to deliver a more relevant, accurate responses. Just to give you a simple example, let's say you have a PDF that talks about a course schedule, and you have that PDF stored in an S3 bucket, right? And now you want to have this PDF could be, let's say, I'm just making this up, maybe 500 pages long. So if a student is asking for something about the course registration or something about course registration that is within that PDF, by using a knowledge base, it can reach out to that PDF in your S3 bucket, get the most relevant response to that question, and provide that response back to them. And that is a feature, and you can invoke that knowledge base using APIs or SDKs. So essentially, you're now leveraging your own proprietary data to get more customized or tailored responses to your end users. Um, so, with Bedrock, one of the cool features of Bedrock is it is a fully managed retrieval augmented generation that allows you to customize your foundation model with contextual and relevant custom company data. So, it pretty much automates the end-to-end RAG workflow, including the ingestion of your data into your vector database, retrieval of that information, the prompt augmentation as to how do I search through that content to get the right inference, and eliminating the need for you to write any custom code to really do all this step one thing at a time. And it also comes with the session context management, which means, let's say you asked a question, it maintains that question in the session for a certain number of hours based on what you've set. And then you can keep on asking, okay, great, now tell me about this, right? So it can keep on responding to a question like a human-like manner without having to repeat the same thing over and over again. And the information retrieved from your knowledge base comes with source citation as to let you know that where did it retrieve, or which PDF or which source did it use to get you that information. So that will improve the transparency and minimizing any hallucination as to getting some, misleading information from the public internet. So this is an example of the architecture as to how does the retrieve and generate API looks like. So essentially, you can see that your retrieval and generate API will invoke the different vector stores that you can see here. I mean, I've listed here multiple or different vector stores that you can use based on your specific need, but it supports multiple vector stores that fits most to your specific need, and you can choose the one that you prefer. And using a single API, you can, it will take care of searching the knowledge base and getting you the response and maintaining the session information so you can continue that conversation without breaking. So, I mean, I touched on the number of different vector data sources that it supports. Like I said, we have Open Search Service that has vector database, Redis for enterprise cloud, Pinecone, Amazon Aurora, MongoDB. All of these data sources you can be used as your vector store. And when it comes to enabling semantic search or vector search across different services, again, this list is growing. And just to give you an idea, these are the different services that support the vector search. If you're looking at expanding your use cases. So, sometimes you might be thinking, yeah, I don't have all my information that I need to go after in a PDF. Some of them could be in my SharePoint site, or some of them could be in Confluence, or maybe in another website, right? So we have the knowledge base now have connectors that can now connect to those data sources, so that you can pull the appropriate information from different data sources that in addition to just supporting S3. So we've really expanded the list to include connectors, like you can see, Salesforce, Confluence, SharePoint, and much more. So you can leverage more business data to customize your model for your specific need. And for instance, say for example, an insurance firm, right, can easily ingest the claims data from their Salesforce into the knowledge base, and then extract the contextual claim information to serve the policyholders with faster and high accuracy outcome, right? So just to give an example, so again, these are ways for you that you can customize your model to get more relevant information to make the decision for your user's request.
Hey,
So
Pete, we've got a few minutes left. If you could conclude with some educational examples, case studies, to keep within the theme of the program today.
I will do that. So yeah, I mean, I quickly go through this. I mean, maybe Ron can share this slide with you so you can go back and take a look at it. But it let you fine tune, it let you customize or import your own models. If you want to use that rather than using a base model, and it will also let you integrate with different services, so you can create your own workflow end to end with any AWS services. And then when it comes to security, it goes with HIPAA, GDPR, SOC, ISO, CSA compliance. And again, you can control your data, with Titan models or with any of the cloud models that support. Like, this is the current status, but it could be changing as you speak. And the guardrails is something I'll quickly touch. This is something that will allow you to control the outcome, right? You might say, don't show any PII information, or never ask a question related to this, right? So you can you can make sure that your model is not going beyond its scope to answer some question, or relieving some secure and private information that the users cannot be exposed to. So guardrails is great for doing that. And then you have on-demand and provision throughput ways to consume those models. And then you can also do batch inferences to perform a batch operation in the backend, so you don't have to be worrying about throughput or time. So it can run in the backend to provide you those inferences. And the cross region really allows you to work through multiple regions. That way, you're not limited to the constraints within your single region. So it will spread the load across multiple regions that you want to work with. And here you go. These are some resources that you can certainly go use. We have a deep dive hands-on workshop that will let you walk you through step-by-step information on building a chatbot, or doing an image generation, or code generation, how to build agents that can perform multiple complex tasks, right? So I would strongly suggest take a look at this, take a copy of this barcode, and look at it, right? And then see if you can use this for your business use cases, and benefit from improving or adding more value to your end users. Um, and that's pretty much it. Again, I also have a survey here. Certainly will help me to get some feedback from you as to, if there's something that you liked about this or didn't like about this. I'd appreciate if you could, provide me some feedback. And again, if you have any questions, or if you want to try dive deeper with any of this, you have, access to any of the AWS account managers or teams. Please reach out to them. They'd be more than happy to engage you with the right resource to help you through your building a proof of concept or guiding you through your journey. With that said, thank you, Ron, and thank you everyone for your time.